Now let's leave the woods and head for the street as we sample BMW's first parallel twin-cylinder motorcycle in the history of the BMW marque, the F800St. This all-new middleweight sport touring machine was recently launched in South Africa by the Bavarian motorcycle company along with a sportier S model. Both the F800St and the S use a liquid-cooled, fuel-injected, high-compression 4-valve per-cylinder vertical twin, reported to deliver over 80 horsepower. The new catalytic-equipped motor is mated with a 6-speed gearbox and a maintenance-free belt final drive. Unlike most BMW motorcycles with their telelever and dual-lever front suspension units, up front on the F800St you'll find a traditional 43mm non-adjustable telescopic fork and a pair of 320mm discs, while out back a slightly smaller single disc is mounted to a beautifully sculpted single-sided swing arm. ABS is optional. So how does it all work? Well, this week we invited journalist Steve Bond of the Toronto Star to give us his impression of the newest BMW offering. Steve had attended the press launch in South Africa and was able to log a pile of miles on the new F800s.
I'm a big fan of middleweights right off the bat. I love middleweights. They're good balance of performance and rideability. The thing that got me was the narrowness of the motorcycle. It's very narrow here at the seat.
Yep.
The engine itself is very narrow, and you turn the engine on and take off on it, it's got a lot of torque, a lot of mid-range.
Yeah, I would never have imagined that a parallel twin, 800 cc's, would have the mid-range that this bike has.
Yeah, and it's got good top end, good mid-range, and it's strong right off the bottom, which is everything you want in a motor, really. It's got a bit of a bark to it once you start revving it, but if you're just puttering around through town, it's not going to offend anybody, which is good, I think.
Right.
But you get away with a lot more stuff if it's quiet. Stopping is great. It's got BMW's traditional ABS on it. The feel is really good. It's got an adjustable lever. Back brake, I hardly ever use it anyway, but it's there, it does work, it's got good feel in that. But the feedback from the front brakes is excellent, really.
Right. How about the clutch engagement and the transmission?
Clutch engagement, there's a little bit of, I found a little bit of free play right off the idle. I don't know if you noticed that when you rode it.
Yes, I did.
Right off the bottom, it's got a little bit of a clunk to it, but this model here only had 29 kilometers when I pried it out of BMW the other day, so I could feel it loosening up on the drive down here, so it'll be better when it breaks in.
What did you think of the riding position, the wide bars, the narrow saddle, where your feet are placed? What do you think about that?
I like it. I'm 6'3", and I don't like a seat that holds me in one position. This has got a little bit of a step to it, but there's still lots of room to move back and forth, especially on the highway. That's important if you're out there for a couple of hours, that you can move around a little bit. The pegs are in a good position for me. The bars are up. They got a nice bend to them. They've got a nice turn to them.
Yep.
And for me, actually, the riding position is just about perfect. It's got a nice high screen to it, and it cuts through the wind pretty well, actually, for a very narrow motorcycle. The cockpit's good. You've got analog tach and speedometer, which is nice. I like that rather than all the stuff. But you have this little infotainment center, which gives you a lot of information. You got a clock. You can dial in ambient temperature, and you can change all the goings on with this little button right here. You can change for your average fuel economy per tank, your economy right now, and it's got the really handy gear position indicator, which I didn't think I'd like, but now that I've been riding a few BMWs, I find it amazingly helpful. Everything is high quality Torx fasteners, all stainless steel aircraft quality. The paint is just flawless. This is a nice kind of a metal flake blue, and the sunshine is really bringing it out nicely.
Who did BMW build this bike for?
I think the guys or girls that are going to look at this are probably just the ones that are getting tired of the usual four-cylinder, you know, the wide motorcycle. Everybody's got a four-cylinder, and it's a totally different experience driving a narrow, lightweight twin as opposed to a big clunky four-cylinder. BMW even offers optional hard bags for this, which I believe are the same as their 1200S.
Right.
And I think you can get a top box for it as well. So I'd have no qualms about touring with this motorcycle whatsoever.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for joining us today down by the lake. It's been a
Anytime,
great pleasure
David.
having you here.